welcome to ACI Magazine. We are here at an interesting launch from Tata Motors. Very soon after they launched the 14 trucks as part of the whole smart truck range, Tata Motors is now claiming they are the widest pickup range player in the market, and this happens on the back of the launches. You will see these vehicles parked nicely in a curve here at this venue in Hyderabad, which is very, very important strategically because the company seems to be also focusing on the southern leg of its customers with this whole launch. So they've launched the widest range of pickup through a facelift of the Intra. So they've got the flagship Intra V50. There is the Intra V20, which happens to be a biofuel vehicle, so it will have a CNG and a petrol combination. And then of course, if you just pan and take a look at the other vehicles parked over there, very evident that you have Yodhas in the mix as well. So Yodha being obviously the flag bearer of the pickups for the company. It comes back in its 2.0 avatar for Tata Motors. Tata Motors has tried to up the game, up the ante with these new launches. Now what it does is trying to reduce the total cost of operation by about 10%, making it the best in class, giving the best in class payload. So, you know, on the 2.0, you have a 2-ton payload capacity, which is the segment first. On the Intra, you have the 1.5-ton payload capacity, which again is claimed to be the best in class. So these are some of the things that the company is playing at. The company is trying to address a very wide range of customer base, from the rural regions to the urban regions, trying to address and bridge the gap and optimize the TCO and other aspects of the vehicle in this whole attempt. So let's have a look at first the V50. Now the interesting part over here was, this is not just a first look of the vehicle. We had the chance to take this vehicle out on a test track at the same venue, which you will of course get to see glimpses of in this video. Now we took it across 8 hurdles. So obviously flat being the initial one where you sort of warm up and get used to the vehicle. The vehicle starts to know you and you sort of get a feel of the vehicle responses. You had a stretch of inclines and declines. We waded through water. There was a rock bed, as well as we put the turning radius of the vehicle and the agility and the maneuverability of the vehicle on the test track to good test. So we will give you results of that as we walk around the vehicle and come back to the performance. Let's start with the front fascia of the Intra. This is pretty much very similar to the Intra that was launched way back in 2019. Intra at that time also was a vehicle through which Tata Motors wanted to cater to the aspiring customers. So it was the premium tough vehicle that sort of took the Ace and the Super Ace to the next level. That was the whole positioning of Intra even in 2019, that was pre-COVID. And now 3 years since, the company has already attained the milestone of having sold 1 lakh units, and this is the new vehicle that they are banking on to widen their market share in the SCV pickup category. On the front fascia, you see a generous use of chrome, as is with all Indian commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles. So there seems to be an amalgamation of passenger vehicle design language coming to the commercial vehicle. So chrome badging, you have the grille over here and a complete single unit of the bumper with provisions for the fog lamp. And from the previous model itself, the company has retained the air dam to try and get maximum air cooling efficiency from the front fascia itself. It has the pickup badge, it has the V50 badge over here. This of course indicates the higher payload and the higher engine variant in the Intra lineup. Here in the headlamp cluster, you see use of bulbs. There is no sign of LED anywhere. This is the turn indicator. And for some reason, the company has not used the corner space for the turn indicators, not extended that turn indication towards the corner, but rather used it as a more reflective glass material, which has again a certain amount of padding and cushioning from this plastic reinforcement. So that is pretty much the side profile or the corner profile of your vehicle. If you come here, there is not just a footboard to get in from the driver's side, but for the co-pilot as well, there is a footboard to get in to the vehicle. You see Apollo tires over here, which are 15-inch radials. If you come back and look at the vehicle from the side, the load tray is essentially what will get the operator its profit. So it's close to a 2960 mm your measurement for the deck, which is helping you carry 1.5 ton. We took the vehicle in its fully laden state. So this vehicle is going to do duty cycles for what? It is going to be doing duty cycles for bringing agri-produce from the rural regions to the APMC markets, to the sabzi mandis of the city. It can be used for e-commerce. It can be used for various other applications, for dairy applications, for all such applications that demand a certain profitability and optimization for the operator, which is possible. Unless it is not possible unless and until you load it to its fullest capacity. And we know customers who will then try and go overboard and even try and pack in more beyond the rated payload capacity. So this was fully packed and it was a pleasant change to drive a CV in its laden state. So our appeal to more CV manufacturers to please give us CVs that are in their laden state, because this is what helps us differentiate one CV from the other. Generous use of fiber again in the wheel arches gives it a nice distinct look. You have the diesel inlet over here, and from what we've been discussing this morning internally as well, operators prefer apparently this open inlet rather than a closed inlet, where we've seen people at the fuel pumps struggling to even get the key past in. On the rear, again a very conventional setup. There is a latch over here, so which needs to really be either pushed by somebody very strong or maybe just about dragged to open the latch. So you can see me struggling a little bit over here because it takes a little time to get used to. You put these latches down from both the sides till the screw comes out of that entire groove, and that is where you get access to your payload deck. Rubber cushioning has become the norm at the rear of the vehicles, so it's a rattle-free experience. Goes back again, and then we just latch it on over there. In the interest of time, I am leaving this as is because it takes the wee bit extra moment to get the latches on. You see this rubber cushioning, you see the sensors at the rear. You have your stepney, and this also gives you a sneak peek into the departure angle. The Intra has about a 188 mm ground clearance. From the side, you get a sneak peek into the suspension arrangement of the Intra. You have about 8 leaf springs at the rear, 3 at the front, which gives it that extra bit of suspension power that is required when navigating on a mix of urban and off-road terrains. We experienced it ourselves during the track, where when you are ascending and then there is an immediate decline, there is a possibility with a laden in the laden state, you will really push the vehicle quite hard, and because of the ground clearance and because of the suspension, somehow you manage to come out unscathed. Just about putting the full pressure on the suspension and still not touching the ground. So I think the vehicle has done quite well over there. When it comes to wading water, again, because it was in a laden state, the nose of the vehicle literally was pressed down, and it was a narrow escape from touching the surface. But otherwise, you have to give it to the vehicle for that kind of a travel in the suspension. Again, front tires here, Endumax series, which are 15-inch radials. Footboard here for the driver, and there is a nice bit of theme going on over here. From the metallic body, the glossy plastic now gives way to the fiber kind of reinforcement here on the door. Here is of course the air filter. You have the side indicators. This is the door trim. So you have the black and blue color scheme going into the cabin, so it's from the exterior seamlessly coming into the interiors. Some cubby holes over here, your regular locking mechanism, rolling windows, a bottle enclosure for the operator. The seating arrangement is in 2 stages, so you can just lift this lever and it is there is a very instant response. It comes down, so that's just the single position that you have over here. And of course you can, using this lever, bring your seat in the front and adjust your positioning. This goes back. There is also a jack given here in this particular vehicle. You have a seat belt, which is obviously quintessential these days. This is because of the dash mounted gear stick. This is a walk-through cabin. Of course, we tried shifting seats because of the handbrake and the proximity to the gear stick. It can be a little challenging to shift positions with your co-pilot, but it is possible. it's doable. Then of course you have this center arrangement, it seems to be more like an extra cushioning. We'll have to wait and see if it pops up. Right now it doesn't seem to be giving way. You have the accelerator, clutch and brake. A very important feedback over here that I would like to spend some time on. This accelerator, somehow initially, if you are used to not giving too much throttle and you want a softer touch, when you press it, even after going in full throttle, there is that certain end travel that you might have to make when you are coming out of steep slopes, or when you are trying an ascent and you need that momentum going into the slope. You need to go a little hard on this to extract juice from the vehicle. Otherwise, there is a tendency of the leg being lifted off it and the vehicle stopping en route. Here again, eco mode, quite important over here. When you are in your unladen state, you can enhance your mileage with this eco mode. Conventional dash arrangement otherwise. There are 5 manual synchro mesh gears, 1 reverse, and then you have the central single instrumental digital cluster, which is your speedometer on the whole. Earlier generation Intra, at least in the top end variant, had dual color toning, which is also there in this range at the top end model, but this particular model doesn't have that passenger vehicle like dual tone HVAC system, which was quite an attraction even back then in 2019 for the Intra. You have this particular model has your sun visors, one is missing, one is there, your rear view mirror, and a pretty much panoramic view from the windshield, which gives a good commanding stance to the operator. And then of course your grab handle, which makes it quite easy. And this is again something that is not seen in this particular vehicle. I'll just give you a sense of how easy it is to use this and get into your vehicle. So usually in this segment of vehicles, we are used to grab handles over here, right at the top of the door, but this side grab rail gives you a nice, comfortable, confident entrance into the vehicle, and from there on makes your life quite easy, gives you a commanding stance. The nose of the vehicle doesn't obstruct your view, and so you are always in control. Whether it's an incline or a decline, you are pretty much at peace with yourself once you get the positioning right. Now, the company in the V50 has majorly got 3 things right, and which is the start and end of all discussions around the V50 Intra. What are these things? Lowest TCO, best in class payload, and an engine through which the company, using a new generation 1.5 liter engine, has got its power to weight ratio right, and because of which the company feels that operators will realize how this Intra can even compete with the conventional pickup, which is your Tata Yodha. So my colleague Prateek Pardeshi, in the upcoming leg of this video, will dive deeper into the Yodha, and we will see if those tall claims come good. But for now, this was a small brief review of the Tata Intra V50. There is also a V20 that the company has launched with a CNG and petrol combination. When asked on why they did not look like at a pure CNG, which is quite common in this segment, the senior leadership had this to say, and which was that the combination of 2 fuels addresses range anxiety, which could be a real possibility when you are out on a drive, on a trip, and you might not find a CNG filling station. So the company has given you that option of petrol, given you the option of optimizing your drive ability, and with the CNG tank you can go as high as 700 kilometers on a single fill. So typically these CNG vehicles now are not just about green fuels, but also going higher in terms of range on these green fuels, with the MNHCVs even extending the range to about 1,000 plus. That is where the industry is moving. At the lower end, in the SCVs, a lot of conversion happening on the EV side. On the higher end, a lot of gasification happening. And then of course, you have the LNG for the heavy commercial vehicles, which are then taking it to the next level, where the range is even at 1,400 kilometers on a single fill. So thank you so much for tuning into CV Magazine.